So the scientist that I'm gonna talk about is his name is James Maxwell. I'm gonna cover his early life and also some of his education. So James Maxwell was born in June 13th, 1831. He died in November 5th, 1879. He was a Scottish scientist in the field of mathematical physics. So some of his early life that I'm gonna cover is from 1831 to 39. He came from a wealthy family. When Maxwell was young, his family moved to the Glen Lair house, which his parents had built in in an estate of 1,500 acres. His education from 1839 to 47, until he was the age of 8, his mom basically homeschooled him. On December 1839, his mom passed away from abdominal cancer, and that was a big kind of like turning point in his life because his dad and the dad's sister-in-law basically took over like his education. So his father in 1841 sent James to a very prestigious house, not house, but an education center, which is called the Edinburgh Academy. He was he was bullied for years for his accent and his clothing, since he was more like a country kid. So in 1847, at the age of 16, and he began attending college classes at the University of Edinburgh. And in 1850, Maxwell was already a very accomplished mathematician. So he built relationships with two of his best friends that later became to be known as very prestigious, also mathematicians. So that covered most of his young life and also some of his education.
Video.
Started. It
All right.
started.
During his years in and after college, he won many prizes and rewards. When he was 25, he was awarded Edinburgh's highest prize in mathematics, the Citation Gold Medal. That same year, he was appointed to the chair of natural philosophy at the University of Aberdeen. While at Aberdeen, he met his beautiful wife, Catherine Mary Dewar, who was the daughter of the university's principal. This is what she looked like.
Good.
In 1860, at the age of 29, he became a professor at King's College in London. That same year, he established that each molecule of air at room temperature collides 8 billion times a second with other molecules on average, which is pretty interesting. He stayed at King's College for 5 years, where he carried out most of his notable work. During this time, he came out with the world's first color photograph. From experimenting with the color wheel, he deduced that the receptors in the human eye are only capable of seeing 3 colors of light. From that deduction, he took 3 pictures of tartan, which is like a plaid material. The first picture he took was took using a red light filter. The second was using a green light filter, and the third using a blue light filter. He projected all 3 images of the cloth simultaneously, which resulted in the world's first color photograph, and that was in 1861. And this is what it looked like. He later went on to make advancements in electromagnetism. He came up with the equation which is now called Maxwell's equation. This equation proved that light must be an electromagnetic wave. He also pointed out that infrared rays also travel at the speed of light. Uh, Maxwell's equation is not very well known because it's too difficult for most mathematicians. He also came up with the theory of gases and statistical physics. Maxwell's theorem basically established that the temperature of gas was entirely dependent on the speed of its individual atoms and molecules.
My name is Victor, and I will be presenting some of the legacies of James C. Maxwell. After his death in Cambridge, England on November 5th, 1879, Maxwell's ingenious work as a mathematician and physicist pioneered and led the way for many of today's technological innovations. In recognition of all of Maxwell's accomplishments, his name was honored in several ways. The 3 I found interesting were one, the James C. Maxwell Telescope, which is the largest sub-millimeter wavelength astronomical telescope in the world. It is located in Manu Kea Observatory in Hawaii on a summit 13,425 feet above sea level. With a diameter of 49 feet, it is used to study distant galaxies and our solar system. The second is the James C. Maxwell Foundation, which main purpose is for charity and for commemorating his work. Nonprofit and voluntary organizations were established in his name to promote, encourage, and advance the study of, research into, and the dissemination of knowledge relating to physics, electronic engineering, and physical chemistry. Many believe the foundation was founded in America, but was actually formed in Scotland in 1977. And in 1993, the foundation was later headquartered at Maxwell's birthplace in Edinburgh, UK. Third is the Maxwell Gap on the rings of Saturn. The rings of Saturn had puzzled scientists for years, wondering what the rings were composed of. During his time at Marischal College as a professor, Maxwell came up with a theory that Saturn's rings were made up of particles. The theory of Maxwell's was confirmed later in the 20th century by space probes. For this discovery, he received the Adam Prize, which is one of the most prestigious prizes awarded in the Society of Mathematicians. So again, many of Maxwell's discoveries and inventions were the foundation of much of the modern world's technological innovations and continued to guide scientists in physics well into the next century.